The day started with my boobs trying to kill me. I was half naked in front of the mirror, tugging and twisting at a bra that clearly had a grudge. The straps dug into my shoulders. The cups refused to cooperate, and I was seconds away from ripping the whole thing off and declaring war on lingerie. That's when my door flew open and my baby sister Roxy barged in. 16, dramatic, and armed with zero shame. She froze in the doorway, eyes flicking to where my hands were shoved inside my bra, trying to adjust. "Oh my God," she said, grinning like she'd caught me mid-crime. "Is this what adults do when they don't have boyfriends?" "Close, the door," I hissed, still wriggling like a snake shedding skin. She didn't. Of course she didn't. She leaned on the frame, enjoying my humiliation. "You look like you're auditioning for a very weird music video. Call it The Bra That Ate Manhattan." "I used to be a size B in high school," I muttered, yanking harder. "I still am. So why the hell won't this fit?" "Maybe your boobs finally decided to grow up without you," Roxy quipped. I finally snapped the hook in place, though it felt like it was one breath away from exploding. By the time I pulled a shirt over it, the fabric clung to me in all the wrong places, like even my clothes wanted to gossip. My name is Anna, 24, a journalist living in New York City. I'd come back home for a much-needed break after a year of chasing deadlines that didn't care if I ate or slept. And somehow, in the middle of my so-called rest, my little sister had bullied me into promising to buy her a prom dress and a pair of shoes. One dress, one pair of shoes. That was the deal. But the second we walked into the mall, Roxy was vibrating like she'd licked a socket. The moment we passed the makeup counters, she was practically moaning. Glittering palettes, shiny handbags, heels tall enough to break ankles. She pressed her face to the displays like she'd been starved her entire life. "Roxy," I said through clenched teeth, "we're here for two things. Dress, shoes, that's it. End of story." She clasped a sequined bag to her chest like it was a long-lost lover. "Please, please, please. This will make me unforgettable. Everyone will notice me." "Yeah," I muttered, as the girl who brought her entire allowance to prom dangling on her arm. Her glare was surgical. "No wonder you never had a real date for your school prom." Then she spun on her heel and stormed off toward the bathrooms, tossing her hair like she'd just ended a soap opera scene. Left alone, I tugged at my bra again. The damn thing was plotting murder. Maybe I should surrender and buy new underwear before I ended up in the mall obituary column. That's how I found myself drifting toward the lingerie store. Lace and silk glinting under soft lights. Mannequins daring me to admit I wanted better. I stepped inside and froze. Because there, running her fingers along a row of lacy bras, was Jenny, my best friend from high school, the girl who once knew everything about me. The one I fell in love with, the one I confessed to on prom night, and the one who looked at me like I was diseased before vanishing from my life. She turned toward me and nearly dropped the satin top she was holding. "Anna," she said quietly. The moment Jenny said my name, I spun on my heel and muttered, "Oh!" My feet carried me straight toward the exit. Fight or flight, and I was firmly in flight. "Anna, wait!" she called. But my legs didn't listen. I was halfway to freedom when betrayal struck. The cursed bra slacked, hook surrendering, straps snapping downward like elastic karma. It slid in the most humiliating way possible, visible even through my shirt. A whole mall could have written headlines about it. Local journalist suffers lingerie malfunction in broad daylight. Jenny gasped softly. "Oh no, I'm sorry about that. Come back inside. I can fix it." I shook my head furiously. "I don't want to have anything to do with you." I meant it. Or at least I wanted to mean it. But then her hand caught mine. A gentle grip, steady, warm, achingly familiar. "Please," Jenny said, voice barely above a whisper. And just like that, I wasn't in the mall anymore. I was 17 again, holding her hand under the bleachers, pretending it was just friendship when I knew it wasn't. My chest tightened, but my feet stopped running. Against all logic, I let her pull me back inside. She drifted toward the bra section like she owned the place, fingers brushing over satin straps as if she was auditioning for a perfume commercial. Then she plucked a few options and held them up to me, stretching them lightly. "Okay, this should fit," she said. I scoffed. "Bold of you to assume you know my exact size." Jenny laughed, the sound sharp and easy. "Of course I know your size. You were a 32B back then, but now—" Her eyes traced down my form, pausing a second too long. "Now you're definitely a 34C. I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly left orbit, but my pulse betrayed me, drumming against my throat. Before I could protest, she stepped behind me and slipped the new bra over my shirt. The fabric pressed cool against me while Jenny's body heat at my back was anything but. My heartbeat sped up, breaths short and uneven. Her hands moved with clinical precision at first, adjusting the straps. But then, she lingered. Her palms pressed firmly over the cups, giving a squeeze that sent a shiver racing down my spine. My breath hitched, traitorous and loud. That was always Jenny. The girl who could crush me with rejection yet still tease me into thinking there was something more. And here she was again, whispering over my skin, rewriting history like it was hers to edit. "You're a 34C, she murmured into my ear. And then, with a single swift motion, she unhooked the bra. My knees almost buckled, a sigh escaping me before I could bite it back. "Wait until I remove the bra on the inside," she whispered. The world stopped. My head felt dizzy, my legs wobbled, until my phone buzzed, loud and shrill, snapping me out of whatever spell she'd been weaving. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Anna, I can't find you. Where are you?" Roxy's whine carried over the line. My brain scrambled. Jenny leaned closer, her lips brushing the shell of my ear. "We're in lingerie, second floor, right across from Sephora," she whispered smoothly. I repeated it numbly into the phone. Roxy hung up with a huff. I turned back to Jenny, cheeks burning. "Thanks, but I can take off my bra myself." And with that, I bolted into the dressing room. My hands shook as I peeled off the old, treacherous bra and slid into the new one. It hugged me snug, comfortable, supportive. Too supportive. As if even the lingerie had conspired to remind me of the grip Jenny still had on me. I stepped out of the dressing room, tugging at my shirt like I could erase the memory of Jenny's hands still ghosting over me. And of course, that's when Roxy reappeared. She froze. Then her eyes went wide like she'd just solved the mystery of the century. "Oh," she sang, dragging it out like a Broadway finale. "So you finally got yourself a grown-up bra." I glared. "Don't start." She ignored me, naturally. "Remember when you used to sleep in your old ones until the straps left little lines on your back? Oh my God. I even found one in the laundry once that had—" She leaned closer, lowering her voice theatrically. "Crumbs in it." "Crumbs?" Jenny choked out, trying not to laugh. Roxy beamed, delighted with herself. "Yeah, like she fell asleep eating cookies and her boobs were the plate." "Oh, and that one time she tried to, She paused for maximum effect. "Stuffed tissues in her bra for a party. They slipped out when she danced too hard, like actual Kleenex on the floor. People thought she had a cold." Jenny clapped a hand over her mouth, her laugh echoing through the store. My soul left my body. "Roxy!" Roxy shrugged, all innocence. "What?" "It's true." She looked like she was shedding like a tissue snake. Jenny was practically doubled over now, eyes shining. "Really, Anna? Tissues? Cookies?" This is incredible. Don't encourage her, I muttered, cheeks burning hot enough to roast chestnuts. But Jenny's smile softened. You used to do this all the time in high school. Not the tissues, but the falling asleep with books and snacks all over your bed. I'd sneak in just to clear them away. I froze. Wait, you remember that? Of course. You'd cry half the time, saying deadlines were eating you alive, and I'd sit with you until you passed out. You always thought you were hiding it. Roxy perked up, delighted to add gasoline. Oh, so you're that Jenny, the one she used to cry over for days when you stopped coming around. Jenny blinked, startled, while my stomach dropped to the mall floor. Roxy, I ground out, grabbing her arm. What? She asked innocently, batting her lashes. I was just saying. Jesus! I snapped, dragging her toward the exit. Let's go and get your prom dress and shoes, Roxy. She stumbled after me, still grinning like a cat who'd swallowed an entire choir of canaries. The drive back home was blessedly quiet, until I couldn't take it anymore. Why did you have to go off like that? I said. You're not a little kid anymore. You can't just blurt everything. Roxy blinked at me, feigning confusion. What? She was your best friend. You probably had a fight. It was like forever ago. No big deal. I shook my head, staring out the window. You've got to let others handle their own scars in their own time, Roxy. Roxy scoffed. Whatever. Then she shoved her AirPods in and blasted music, leaving me alone with my pulse still racing and Jenny's laughter echoing like a ghost I couldn't shake. By the time we got home, Roxy had already slammed her bedroom door like she was auditioning for a soap opera. Fine. Let her sulk. My pulse was still racing from the mall. Jenny's hands, Jenny's laugh, Roxy's big mouth. And I needed comfort. So I went to the fridge. Cold pizza, half a tub of whipped cream, pickles. None of it matched, but I didn't care. I stuffed my face like carbs could erase the feel of satin brushing my skin. Except every bite landed wrong. I could still hear her whisper, "You're a 34C." My teeth sank into crust like I was punishing myself for even remembering. When the food stopped helping, I stomped to my room. Fine. If my bra was going to betray me in public, I'd deal with it here. I yanked open my drawer and dumped everything onto the bed. Lace, cotton, stretched straps, all of them glaring back like conspirators. One by one, I tried them on. The black one, too tight. The red one, suddenly indecent. The nude one, might as well have been a bandage. I twisted, tugged, cursed. Every mirror check came with the ghost of Jenny's hands tugging, smoothing, pressing. My chest felt like it was betraying me too. Finally, in a fit of disgust, I started tossing bras into the trash bag. Good riddance. If they wanted to humiliate me, they could rot in the landfill. But then I sat on the bed, staring at the empty drawer, and my stomach twisted. This wasn't about elastic and fabric. This was about Jenny. Always Jenny. I pulled out my old high school yearbook, hidden under a pile of notebooks like contraband. The cover was frayed at the corners, smelling faintly of dust and teenage despair. I flipped it open and winced. Jenny was everywhere. Or rather, she wasn't. Half the pages looked like a horror movie crime scene, faces cut out with the precision of a bitter young woman wielding safety scissors. Tiny, jagged holes stared back at me where her smile used to be. It was like I'd tried to perform an exorcism with an X-Acto knife. And still, she was there. Her laugh lived in the margin notes, scribbled inside jokes in her handwriting curving across the page. The pages rustled like whispers. I could practically hear her voice bleeding through the ink. I told myself to close it, to shove it back under the bed and pretend it never existed. Instead, I flipped to the prom spread. Big mistake. Huge. That night came back in a rush. Promenade. Neither of us had dates. We'd sat on the bleachers, bitter and laughing, then said, "Screw it," and danced together anyway. The DJ had slowed the music, and suddenly my hands were on her waist, her forehead brushing mine. Both of us giggling like we weren't about to cross some invisible line. That was when I'd confessed. Heart pounding, voice shaking, my mouth blurting it out. 3 stupid words I'd held back for years. I love you. I thought she'd laugh. I thought she'd tell me I was ridiculous. Instead, she just looked at me. Like I'd grown horns. But that wasn't the whole story, was it? She'd kissed me before. Practice kisses, she'd called them. Just to see what it felt like. Her lips had tasted like cherry lip balm and stolen soda, and I'd believed her when she said it was harmless. Until harmless turned into her mouth lingering too long, her hands tugging me closer, her breath catching against my skin. Once, God help me, I even let her mouth trail lower until she sucked on one of my... I cut the thought off violently, clutching the yearbook like a shield. Number don't remember that. Don't. But I remembered anyway. All the ways it had felt like we were already dating, except we were too scared to name it. All the ways she had made me believe I wasn't crazy for wanting her. Until the moment I confessed, and she looked at me like I'd imagined the whole thing. We'd even made plans. Same college, same dorm, same future. But after the fallout, Jenny changed her mind, turned her back, and ran to her second-choice school instead. And then she was gone. New college, new city. Gone from my life like she'd planned it all along. The tears started before I could stop them. Quiet at first, then harder, until the yearbook blurred and the bed shook with the weight of it. I pressed my face into the pillow and let it all out. The sweetness, the ache, the shame. I cried until my body gave up, until exhaustion pulled me under. Jenny's voice was still echoing in my head when I finally fell asleep. Prom night as a chaperone. Kill me. The gym was unrecognizable. Balloons, glitter, fairy lights, the smell of too much cologne and not enough deodorant. Teenagers milled around, shrieking in rented tuxes and sequined gowns, like baby gazelles discovering legs for the first time. I stood by the bleachers in my official chaperone lanyard, sipping watered-down punch and telling myself I'd survive. Keep the kids from sneaking booze, stop anyone from groping under the tablecloths, and leave with my dignity intact. And then I saw her. Jenny. She was across the gym, clipboard in hand, laughing with another volunteer like she hadn't detonated my teenage heart and danced on the ashes. Black dress, perfect hair, the kind of smile that could sell perfume or ruin lives. The universe really had a sense of humor. Her eyes found mine. She blinked, startled, then smiled, and started walking over. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered into my punch. "Anna," she said when she reached me, voice warm, familiar, like we'd just bumped into each other at the grocery store instead of the battlefield of my adolescence. "You're here too?" "Yeah," I forced a smile. Figured it was time to relive my glory days. Nothing screams self-care like babysitting teenagers in taffeta. Jenny chuckled softly. Still the same sarcasm. "Still the same nerve showing up where I least want you," I muttered. She ignored that. "You look good." "Thanks. It's amazing what pizza and stress can do for the skin." I deadpanned. Her lips curved. "You know, it's funny. I remember you standing right here once, laughing so hard you spilled soda all over yourself. I had to give you my hoodie." "Right," I said. "Before you decided I wasn't worth keeping around." Her smile froze for half a second. Then she tilted her head, smooth as ever. "I didn't stop caring about you, Anna." "Oh, totally. Vanishing without a word? Peak caring. Textbook even." Jenny's laugh this time was sharper, edged. God, you're still dramatic. Better dramatic than cowardly. Her eyes flashed, but she leaned closer, keeping her tone sweet. You know what's tragic? You act like I ruined you, but here you are, still orbiting me, still getting worked up. I'm not worked up. I lied through my teeth. Sure you're not. She smiled faintly, eyes glittering. You think I don't see the way you look at me? Like you did back then? My jaw clenched. You're imagining things. Jenny gave a low laugh. Am I? Because right now, you're standing here in this gym, cheeks flushed, hands shaking. Exactly the same girl who confessed under those bleachers. The difference is... She paused, savoring it, then leaned in close enough for her perfume to drown me. Back then, you were just a crush. Now you're a woman, and you still don't know how to get over me. The words cut like knives. I opened my mouth, ready to spit fire. But she wasn't done. Jenny's smile turned razor sharp. Honestly, Anna, it's kind of pathetic. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. Heat rushed to my face, my throat tightening so fast I couldn't breathe. All around us, kids laughed, danced, snapped pictures, oblivious. And here I was, 24, still bleeding over a girl who knew exactly where to stick the knife. Excuse me, I choked out, dropping my empty cup onto the snack table like it burned. Then I bolted for the exit, vision blurring, pulse crashing in my ears. Behind me, I heard Jenny's laugh falter. Then, sharply, Anna, wait! The parking lot lights hummed, moths circling like they'd lost their way. Fitting. I hugged myself, storming toward the street, when the sound of hurried heels clattered behind me. Anna, stop! I didn't. My body thrummed with anger, humiliation, and the ache of words I hadn't wanted to hear but had burned anyway. She caught my arm. This time, I wrenched hard. Don't touch me. Her hand dropped instantly. For once, Jenny looked stripped of her armor, shoulders tense, eyes darting like she was out of rehearsed lines. I shouldn't have said what I said in there. It was low, cruel. I'm sorry. I barked out a laugh, sharp as broken glass. Sorry? That's your grand speech? After years of silence, after cutting me in half under fairy lights, all you've got is sorry? I panicked, she bit out. I saw the way you looked at me and... Don't, I snapped. Don't make this about how I looked at you. You humiliated me in there. Just like you did back then. Maybe it's your hobby. Build me up, slice me down. Jenny flinched, then steadied herself. You think I like this? Hurting you? You think that's what I wanted tonight? Worked out that way, I muttered, voice shaking with the effort of not crumbling. Her jaw clenched. She stepped closer, and I stepped back, the brick wall catching me. Anna, listen. Please. I glared, but something in her tone, ragged, cracking, held me still. I was wrong back then, she said. I was so damn wrong. You confessed, and I froze. I didn't know what to do with it. With you. With me. That's rich, I spat. You didn't know what to do, so you erased me. Her eyes flickered, wet at the edges. I thought pretending it wasn't real would make it go away. If I pushed you off, if I left, maybe it would all stop scaring me. I scoffed. Guess what, Jenny? It didn't stop. It just left me standing in the ruins while you ran. Her lips parted, trembling, but no excuse came out. Only silence. For the first time, I saw her mask slip completely. No smirk, no jab, just raw regret. She whispered, "You're right. I was a coward, and I've hated myself for it every damn day since." The words gutted me. My chest rose, fell, too fast. You don't get to rewrite history because you feel guilty now. She nodded once, sharp. Then let me make a new one. I opened my mouth to bite back, but she suddenly pressed forward, her hand braced against the wall by my head. Say what you want, Anna. Insult me. Tell me I don't deserve it, but you can't tell me you don't still feel this. My heart stuttered. Her face was inches from mine, her eyes blazing, her breath mingling with mine. Back off, I whispered, but it came out thin, trembling. Her mouth twisted. If I back off now, I'll lose you forever. Then she kissed me. Not soft, not sweet. A collision, anger, want, desperation all at once. My body jolted, fighting and yielding in the same second. I shoved at her chest, then fisted the fabric of her dress, pulling her closer. Her lips moved hungrily against mine, years of silence breaking open between us. When she finally tore back, her forehead pressed to mine, both of us panting, she whispered, I had feelings for you all along. I just couldn't name them. The word lesbian. It terrified me. I thought if we kept touching without saying it, I could live in the fantasy forever. But you forced it into the light and I hated you for it. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was. And I wasn't brave enough. The words gutted me again. My throat closed. You think that makes it better? No, she said, fierce. It makes it worse. And I need you to know I'd do anything to fix it. Her lips brushed my ear, voice dropping lower. I never stopped wanting you. Even when I tried to forget, even when I lied to myself, it was always you. Heat seared through me. Against every ounce of self-preservation, my hands clutched her waist, dragging her in for another kiss. This one deeper, hungrier. Her hands roamed my sides, my back, trembling as if she couldn't decide whether to hold me tight or worship every inch of me. Our breaths tangled, rough, fevered. Finally, she broke away, lips swollen, voice husky. We can't do this here. My chest heaved. Then where? Her fingers laced mine, grip iron strong. My place. Now. And just like that, we were moving, half running across the lot, slipping into her car. The night swallowing us whole as the doors shut and the engine roared to life. Her place was a 2-story townhouse on the edge of town. Quiet and dark except for the faint yellow glow spilling from the porch light. The ride there had been silent, charged, like even the air was too thick with everything unsaid to risk words. When we stepped inside, Jenny locked the door behind us with a sharp click. The sound made my pulse trip over itself. I stood there, still clutching my bag like a shield, my chest heaving. The hallway smelled like coffee and vanilla candles. Lived in but polished, just like her. She turned, leaning against the door, watching me. The smirk she usually wore was gone. Her lips were still swollen from the parking lot, her eyes unsteady, hungry. This feels insane, I muttered, my voice rough. Jenny's laugh was low, humorless. Everything with you always has. I should have left. I should have told her we were done playing with fire. Instead, I dropped the bag and crossed my arms, desperate to mask the shake in my hands. So what now, Jenny? You say sorry, kiss me against a wall, and what? We pretend the last 7 years didn't happen? Her gaze softened, but her tone stayed sharp. We finally stopped pretending they didn't matter. Something inside me snapped at that. God, you're unbelievable. You walked out on me, Jenny. You cut me off like I was disposable. Do you even get what that did to me? Her face cracked at the edges. I do. I know I broke you. But Anna? She stepped forward slowly as if approaching a wild animal. I broke myself too. Every time I kissed someone else, every time I laughed with someone else, it felt like borrowing, like counterfeit, because they weren't you. Her words hit like stones against glass, splintering the walls I'd built. I shook my head. Don't say things like that. She closed the space, so close her breath warmed my cheek. Why not? It's true. I turned away, trembling, but she caught my chin, forcing me to look at her. Her eyes burned, raw and desperate. You were my first real love, she said, voice low and shaking. I was too cowardly to claim it then, but I'll claim it now. I still want you, Anna. I never stopped. The words seared through me. My breath stuttered, my body leaning in even as my mind screamed no. Jenny. Her lips found mine before I could finish. This kiss wasn't wild like outside. It was deeper, slower, dripping with apology and hunger both. Her hands slid into my hair, tugging gently, and my knees buckled. I clutched at her waist, pulling her closer, hating how natural it still felt. The kiss deepened, teeth grazing, lips parting, a whimper slipping from my throat before I could stop it. Jenny broke just long enough to whisper against my mouth. Tell me to stop, and I will. But if you don't... Her hand pressed flat against my back, pulling me flush against her. I'm not letting go again. I should have said it. I should have told her to stop. Instead, my lips found hers again, fiercer, answering the only way I knew how. She groaned softly, her hands roaming down my sides, fingertips tracing the hem of my shirt. I gasped, traitorous, pressing closer until there was no space left between us. We broke apart, panting, foreheads pressed together. This is reckless, I whispered. Jenny smirked faintly, the fire back in her eyes. With you? Always. Her hand slipped into mine, tugging me gently toward the stairs. And for once tonight, I didn't resist. The stairs creaked under our weight, every step a drumbeat in my chest. Jenny's hand stayed locked in mine, firm, insistent, like she thought I'd vanish if she let go. Maybe she was right. Her bedroom door clicked shut behind us, and then she had me pinned against it, lips crashing onto mine with a hunger that had been years in the making. The kiss was frantic, bruising, desperate, like she was trying to devour every no, every hesitation, every scar between us. I clutched at her dress, fingers twisting in the fabric, pulling her closer until there was nothing but heat and skin and memory colliding. She groaned into my mouth, the sound low and needy, and my knees buckled. Her thigh slid between mine, pressing up hard, sending a jolt through me that stole my breath. Jenny! I gasped, my voice breaking. Her mouth trailed down my jaw, hot and open, teeth scraping against my neck. God, Anna, you don't know how long I've wanted this. How many nights I've thought about you. About this. Her hands were everywhere, my waist, my hips, tugging me flush against her. I shuddered, clinging to her shoulders. You left me. She stilled for a beat, lips still against my skin, then whispered fiercely, and I've hated myself every day since. But tonight, I'm not leaving. Not ever again. Before I could reply, she kissed me harder, deeper, her tongue sliding against mine, stealing every word from my lungs. The world spun, dizzy, and I gave in, kissing her back with the same desperation. The same years of loss turned into fire. Her hands slipped under my shirt, palms hot against my bare skin. I gasped, arching into her touch, and she smiled against my mouth. Still perfect, she murmured, her breath ragged. Jenny. I tried to sound warning, but it came out pleading. Say you don't want me, she whispered, pressing her forehead to mine. her hand skimming higher. And I'll stop. I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. Instead, I crushed my mouth back to hers, clawing at her like she was the only oxygen left in the room. She groaned, lifting me off the floor, carrying me to the bed. I fell back against the sheets, and she followed, her body pressed heavy against mine. Our breaths came fast, tangled, as her hands roamed, her mouth finding every place I'd ever ached for her to touch. The sheets bunched under my fists as Jenny's mouth moved down my throat, leaving a trail of heat and teeth that made me arch against her. Her hands mapped me like she'd been memorizing me for 7 years, and couldn't wait another second to prove it. I gasped when her thigh pressed harder between mine, and her smirk curved against my collarbone. "Still so responsive," she murmured, her voice rough. "I used to dream about this." My nails dug into her back, pulling her closer. "You're cruel." Her eyes burned as she pulled back just enough to look at me. "Cruel," she whispered, brushing her lips over mine. "Would have been never touching you again." And then she kissed me like she was trying to undo every regret, every mistake. Slow at first, then deeper, hungrier, until my head spun. I broke with a whimper, turning my face into her shoulder, and she caught me, steadying me with both hands. "Say it, Anna," she breathed. "Say you still want me." I let out a shaky laugh. If I didn't, would I be here? That was all the permission she needed. Her mouth claimed mine again, and this time there was no hesitation. The rhythm of us built, bodies pressing, hips shifting, breath catching in broken gasps. The room filled with the sound of sheets rustling, muffled groans, and my name on her lips like a prayer she'd never stopped saying. When the frenzy finally slowed, we collapsed into each other, damp with sweat and shaking with everything we'd unleashed. My cheek rested against her chest, her heartbeat frantic under my ear. For a long moment, neither of us spoke, both of us just breathing like survivors who'd barely made it out alive. Jenny's hand stroked absently through my hair, gentler now, almost reverent. "I thought I'd forgotten what it felt like to be this close to you," she whispered. "But I hadn't. Not for a second." I swallowed hard, eyes burning. "You don't get to say things like that after everything." She tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet her gaze. Her eyes were wet, her smile soft and broken. "You think I don't know what I cost us? I ruined you, Anna. And I ruined myself. But lying here now, with you, I'd burn all over again just to feel this." The silence stretched, heavy and fragile. I wanted to tell her to shut up. I wanted to kiss her again. Instead, I let my hands slide into hers, our fingers tangling like they used to, awkward and perfect. The morning light slid across the room like it was in on the secret. My body ached, not from sleep, but from the weight of the night before. Skin still humming where she'd touched me, lips sore where she'd kissed me too hard. Jenny stirred beside me, half asleep, the sheet tangled at her waist. For a second, she looked young again, like the girl who used to climb through my window with popcorn and cheap soda, who made me believe forever was something 2 hands could hold. But forever had burned out once already. I eased out of bed, padding to the window, trying to breathe past the chaos in my chest. My reflection stared back, hair a mess, eyes swollen, mouth trembling like I'd forgotten how to lie to myself. "Anna." Her voice was quiet, hoarse from all the things we'd done, all the things we'd said. I turned. She was propped on one elbow, watching me like she couldn't decide if I was real or another dream. "I don't regret last night," she said softly. "Not 1 second of it." I folded my arms tight. "Doesn't erase what came before." I know. Her gaze didn't waver. But maybe it can rewrite what comes next. The words lodged in my throat, equal parts promise and danger. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just shook my head. You always did know how to say just enough to keep me from walking all the way out the door. She smiled faintly, sad but burning. Then don't walk all the way out. Not yet. The silence stretched, the air thick with what we'd done, what we hadn't said. I grabbed my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and stepped toward the door. At the threshold, I paused. My voice came out low, betraying me. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you. Jenny's smile deepened, fragile and reckless all at once. I'll take that, as long as it means you'll come back. I didn't answer. I just held her gaze a beat longer than I should have, long enough for the maybe to spark between us, before stepping into the light. Outside, the air smelled sharper, fresher. My heart hurt, but it wasn't broken. Not completely. And that was the worst and best part. Because some doors don't slam shut. They creak. They linger. They wait. And hers was still open. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, drop me a comment. I love hearing your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. It really helps keep the stories coming. Until next time, I remain Tales by Imala. Bye.